The arena was huge. Thousands of lights flashed in the dark sky above. The crowd's noise was loud and wild. People and aliens from many planets had come to watch the greatest fighters in the galaxy compete. This was the Intergalactic Combat Games, and today was the day everyone waited for, the day the new fighters would show their skills. In the center of the arena stood a small man. His name was Elias Reeve, and he was from Earth. Elias was not very tall. He was about 5'8" and he looked ordinary. His skin was light, his eyes sharp, and his brown hair was cut short like a soldier's. He wore a simple, tight suit with the Earth Federation's logo on his chest. Opposite him stood his opponent. She was an alien warrior named Zalara from the Trexan Empire. Zalara was huge compared to Elias. She had 4 strong arms, and her red and black exosuit made her look like a living tank. Her skin was rough and shiny like a beetle's shell. She was 7 feet tall with muscles that showed even under her armor. Her eyes glowed faintly with a red light. Zalara smiled a cruel smile when she looked at Elias. Her voice was loud and deep as she spoke to the crowd. "Look at this. The little human thinks he can fight me? He is too small, he will not last a minute." The crowd laughed and cheered. Many believed Zalara would win easily. After all, she was the champion for many years. She had beaten dozens of opponents from many planets. Elias did not smile. He looked calm. He knew that many people thought humans were weak. But Elias had trained for years in Earth's military. He knew how to fight smart, not just strong. The arena's announcer spoke over the loudspeakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event of the Intergalactic Combat Games. Representing the Earth Federation, Corporal Elias Reeve, and representing the Trexan Empire, the undefeated champion Zalara." The crowd cheered loudly, some chanting, "Zalara, Zalara." Others shouted, "Go Earth, go Elias." Elias raised his fist and nodded. He took a deep breath. He knew that the fight would be hard, but he was ready. The referee, a small blue-skinned alien named Zintar, floated between them. "Remember the rules," he said. "No weapons, no killing. First fighter to be knocked out or unable to continue loses. Ready? Fight!" Zalara charged. Immediately, she moved fast for someone so big. With her 4 arms, she threw a heavy punch. Elias stepped back quickly, feeling the wind from her fist. He knew if she hit him with one full blow, he could be seriously hurt. Elias moved like a shadow, fast and careful. He watched her closely, waiting for a chance. Zalara swung again. This time, Elias ducked low and rolled under her arm. He ran behind her and tried to grab her waist to push her off balance, but she was strong. She caught his arm with 2 of her hands and threw him sideways. Elias hit the ground hard but quickly got up. He smiled to himself. This was exactly what he expected. Zalara was strong, but she was not fast enough to catch him all the time. He decided to use a different plan. Elias started moving around the arena quickly. He used his speed to confuse Zalara. He jumped, dodged, and kicked low. Every move was designed to make her lose balance. Zalara was angry now. She shouted and swung all her arms wildly, but Elias was too quick. Every time she missed, he landed a small hit on her arms or legs. The crowd gasped when Elias managed to strike one of her powerful legs. Zalara stumbled, almost falling. Elias knew he had to keep pushing. He remembered his training. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, his instructor had told him many times. Suddenly, Elias saw his chance. Zalara swung her right arm too far forward. Elias jumped forward and grabbed her wrist. Using all his strength, he pulled her arm down and twisted it slightly. Zalara growled in pain but tried to break free. Elias didn't let go. He grabbed her other arm and pulled her toward him. Using her weight against her, Elias spun around and pushed her hard. Zalara lost her balance and fell to the ground with a heavy thud. The arena went silent for a moment. The crowd couldn't believe what they saw. The small human had just knocked down the great champion. Zalara struggled to get up. She looked at Elias with wide eyes. "Impossible," she said, her voice shaking. Elias didn't say anything. He waited, ready for her next move. Solara got to her feet slowly. Her forearms were tense, ready to fight. She wiped a small cut from her forehead. "You are fast," she said quietly. "But this fight is not over." Elias nodded. "I'm just getting started." The fight continued, but now everything had changed. The crowd cheered not only for Solara but also for Elias. Many started to believe that the small human might win. Back in the stands, Earth's ambassador, a tall woman named Commander Rena Voss, smiled proudly. "That's our soldier," she whispered. The fight was not just about strength anymore. It was about heart, skill, and the will to never give up. And Elias Reeve had all of those. After the fall of Solara, the crowd's roar filled the arena once again. Elias stood tall but calm, his breathing steady. He knew the fight was far from over. The Terexan warrior was not one to accept defeat easily. Solara wiped the dust from her armor and glared at Elias. "You are fast," she said, her voice low but fierce. "But speed alone will not win this fight." Elias nodded. "I don't think so either," he replied quietly. The two fighters faced each other again, circling like predators. Elias kept his eyes sharp, watching for any sign of Zalara's next move. He knew she would be stronger and more aggressive now. Her pride was hurt, and she wanted to end this quickly. Zalara's forearms moved like a whirlwind. She attacked with punches and slashes, each blow full of power. Elias blocked some, dodged others, and tried to stay close enough to land a few hits but far enough to avoid her strongest strikes. The Terexan's fighting style was heavy and forceful. She used her strength to push Elias back. But the human did not panic. Instead, he waited for a pattern, looking for her weak spots. Elias had studied Zalara's previous fights. He knew her left arm was slightly slower than the others. Also, the joints in her exosuit made small noises when she moved fast. He listened carefully for these sounds. Solara swung her left arm quickly, and Elias ducked under. He moved in and grabbed her wrist. Using his weight, he twisted and pushed, trying to unbalance her again. Solara grunted and used her other arms to try to hit Elias. He blocked with his arms and knees but felt the sting of her blows. One of her punches landed on his shoulder and he stumbled back. Elias took a breath and steadied himself. He could feel the pain but focused on the fight. He was not just fighting for himself but for all of Earth. Suddenly, Solara changed her tactic. Instead of heavy punches, she started using quick, sharp strikes. She aimed for Elias's legs and torso, trying to wear him down. Elias knew he had to be smarter. He remembered his training with the Earth Special Forces. They had taught him to use an enemy's power against them. When Solara lunged at him, Elias stepped aside and grabbed her arm. He pulled her forward and then twisted her body, forcing her off balance. She fell again, this time harder. The crowd gasped. Elias had done something unexpected. He had used her strength against her. Solara growled but got up slowly. "You fight well, human," she said, "but you have not seen my true power." Elias smiled slightly. "Show me then." Solara raised her arms and let out a loud roar. The exosuit's energy glowed brighter, and a strange sound filled the arena. Suddenly, her muscles seemed bigger and she moved faster. Elias took a step back. This was the power boost Solara had in reserve. Many warriors used it when they were close to defeat. The Terexan charged again, faster and stronger. Her punches came like thunder. Elias barely managed to block and dodge. He felt sweat on his forehead. His muscles ached, but he did not give up. Elias remembered another lesson. Keep calm, keep moving, and wait for the right moment. Solara made a mistake. In her eagerness to finish Elias, she overextended with a punch. Elias saw his chance. He ducked under her arm, ran behind her, and wrapped his arms around her waist. Using his legs, he lifted her slightly and threw her forward. Solara crashed to the ground hard. The arena shook from the impact. The crowd was silent. No one expected this from the small human. Elias stayed close. He didn't want to give Solara any chance to recover quickly. But Solara was not done. She pushed herself up, her eyes burning with rage. "You may be small," she hissed, But you are strong. I respect that. But I will win. Elias nodded. We will see. The fight became a test of willpower. Elias kept moving, dodging, and striking where he could. Solara fought with everything she had, but Elias's speed and skill kept her on the defensive. Suddenly, Elias spotted another weakness. Solara's armor had a small gap at the side of her torso. He aimed a quick punch there. The hit was light but painful. Solara staggered, and Elias took the chance to deliver a strong kick to her knee. She fell again, this time clutching her leg. The crowd roared with excitement. The impossible was happening. The human was not just surviving, he was winning. Solara struggled to stand, but her movements were slower. Elias approached carefully, ready for the final move. He looked into her eyes and saw something new. Respect. Good fight, Elias said quietly. Solara nodded slowly. You fight with your mind, human. That is why you are dangerous. The referee floated between them. Time. The fight is paused for a moment. Both fighters took deep breaths. Elias wiped sweat from his face and felt pain, but his heart was strong. He looked around the arena. The crowd was alive with energy, cheering for both warriors. Elias knew this was more than a fight. It was a moment that would change how many saw humans, small but smart, weak-looking but strong in spirit. As the pause ended, Elias prepared himself for the next round. The brief pause ended, and the arena's energy returned with full force. The crowd's cheers echoed off the walls as Elias and Solara faced each other once again. Both fighters were breathing hard, their bodies tired but their spirits still, burning bright. Solara's face showed determination. She was hurt but not defeated. Her forearms moved slowly, testing her limits. Elias, though smaller and bruised, stood firm. His eyes never left her. He knew the fight was far from over. Delmao, referee Zintar, floated between them and raised his hand. Fight! Immediately Solara charged. This time she was more careful, using all four arms to protect herself and attack at the same time. Elias stayed alert, moving with quick, light steps. The fight became a dance of power and speed. Solara used her strength to push Elias backward, but Elias used his quickness to avoid her heaviest blows. Elias remembered something from his training. When fighting a larger opponent, it was important to stay close and under their center of gravity. If he could stay close to Solara, her size would become a disadvantage. He moved in closer, dodging her attacks, and grabbed her leg. Using all his strength, he pulled and twisted, trying to make her lose balance. Solara growled and tried to kick Elias away, but he held on tight. She swung her arms wildly, but Elias stayed calm. He reached for a spot near her knee joint, a weak point where the armor wasn't as strong. With a quick move, Elias twisted her leg and pushed hard. Solara's eyes widened in surprise, and she stumbled. The crowd erupted in cheers. Elias was showing them that the small human could take on even the strongest alien. Solara shook her head and smiled. You are stronger than I thought, human, but I will not lose. She straightened up and faced him again, moving faster now. Her blows were sharper and more precise. Elias blocked and dodged, but the effort was making him tired. Suddenly, Solara launched a powerful spinning attack with all four arms. Elias barely escaped by rolling to the side, but the force knocked him to the ground. He felt pain in his ribs but quickly pushed himself up. He could hear the crowd gasping. Solara advanced. She raised her fists for a finishing blow, but Elias was ready. He remembered one final trick his trainer had taught him: use the enemy's power against them. As Solara swung her arm, Elias stepped inside her reach. He grabbed her wrist and twisted, pulling her arm forward. Solara tried to pull back, but Elias held on tightly. With a sudden move, Elias dropped to the ground, pulling Solara's arm down with him. The big alien was thrown off balance and fell, hard onto the arena floor. The crowd went wild. Solara lay on the ground for a moment, shocked. Elias stood over her, breathing hard but steady. Then, something surprising happened. Solara smiled and nodded slowly. You have earned my respect, human. Elias lowered his hand. Thank you. You are a great fighter. The referee raised his hand and said, "Time out. The fighters will rest for 5 minutes." Both Elias and Zalara stepped back and took off their helmets. Elias wiped sweat from his face, feeling pain but proud. In the stands, Earth's ambassador, Commander Rena Voss, smiled broadly. "This fight will be remembered," she said quietly. The crowd discussed what they had just seen. Many who had doubted Elias now cheered for him loudly. The break gave Elias a chance to drink water and think. He knew Zalara would come back stronger. He needed a new plan, not just to win, but to prove that humans were a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. As he looked at Zalara, who was already preparing to fight again, Elias felt a new fire inside him. This was more than a fight. It was the start of something bigger. The break was over. The crowd's excitement filled the arena again as Elias and Zalara took their places. Both fighters were tired, their bodies showing the marks of battle, but their eyes burned with determination. Zalara's face was serious. She was no longer mocking Elias. She had learned something important. This human was strong, smart, and brave. Elias felt the same respect for her, but he also knew this was the moment to show why humans could win, no matter the size or power of their opponent. The referee Zintar raised his hand and shouted, "Fight!" Zalara rushed forward like a storm. Her forearms moved fast, striking from every side. Elias dodged and blocked, his movements quick and sharp. The fight was harder than ever. Elias felt the sting of several blows but kept fighting. He knew Zalara had one last power, a special energy booster people called the Crimson Surge. It made her stronger and faster for a short time. Suddenly, Zalara's exosuit glowed bright red, and her muscles seemed to grow larger. She roared loudly and charged at Elias with even more power. Elias stepped back but stayed calm. He could not fight her with strength alone. He needed to use his head. Zalara swung a heavy punch, but Elias saw it coming. He rolled to the side and grabbed her arm. Using her own power against her, Elias pulled and twisted. Zalara stumbled forward, surprised by his strength. Elias pushed forward, moving quickly to a weak point in her armor near the neck. He delivered a sharp punch that made Zalara cry out. She shook her head and swung with all her arms, but Elias was faster. He jumped back and then ran forward with a spinning kick aimed at her jaw. The kick landed perfectly. Zalara's eyes went wide. She tried to fight back but stumbled and fell. The arena went silent. For a moment, no one moved. Then Zalara's body relaxed. She was out cold. Elias stood still, breathing heavily. He looked down at the fallen champion. The referee raised his hand and shouted, "The fight is over! The winner is Corporal Elias Reeve from Earth." The crowd exploded with cheers. People from all over the arena stood and clapped. Earth's delegation cheered the loudest. Elias raised his fist but did not shout. He was proud, but respectful. Zalara slowly opened her eyes. She looked at Elias and smiled weakly. "You are the better fighter," she said softly. Elias nodded and helped her up. "You fought well. It was an honor." Zalara looked at the crowd, then back at Elias. "Today, you have shown the galaxy that humans are strong." The crowd cheered again. Back in the stands, Commander Rena Voss stood with tears in her eyes. "This is more than a victory," she whispered. "It is a new beginning." Elias felt the weight of her words. This fight was not just about winning. It was about respect, courage, and hope. As the arena lights dimmed, Elias knew his life was changing. From now on, humans would be seen as fighters to respect, not just for their strength, but for their courage and heart. And this was only the start. The arena was still buzzing with excitement after Elias's unexpected victory. People from many planets were talking about the small human who had knocked out the mighty Zalara. The news spread quickly, and soon Elias found himself at the center of attention. Backstage, Elias sat quietly. His body ached from the fight, but his mind was calm. He thought about the journey that brought him here, from Earth, a small planet in a big universe, to this moment in the intergalactic combat games. Suddenly, a hand touched his shoulder. Elias looked up to see Commander Rena Voss smiling warmly. "You did it, Elias," she said. "You showed the galaxy the true spirit of humanity." Elias smiled back. "I only fought my best." Commander Voss nodded. "That's what makes you great." As Elias rested, Zalara was brought to the same room. Though still tired, she walked over to him. The respect in her eyes was clear. "You fought with honor," she said quietly. "Humans are not what I expected." Elias shook her hand. "Neither are you. You are strong, brave, and a great champion." Zalara smiled. "Perhaps next time we fight as allies, not enemies." Elias laughed. "I'd like that." The words felt real. Two warriors from different worlds had found respect through battle. Later, during the awards ceremony, Elias stood on the stage as the new champion. The crowd cheered louder than ever. The Earth flag was raised, and Elias felt proud to represent his home. The announcer spoke clearly. "Today we celebrate not just a victory, but a new understanding. Elias Reeve, the human from Earth, has shown us that size and strength alone do not decide the outcome. Heart, skill, and courage matter most." Elias looked out at the crowd and saw many faces filled with admiration. After the ceremony, reporters and fans approached Elias with questions and congratulations. He answered each with humility, always remembering that his victory was more than just his own. Back in his room, Elias sat down and thought deeply. The galaxy was vast and full of challenges. This fight was only the beginning. He knew humans would face many more battles, some physical, some of respect and trust. But now, the door was open. The universe had seen that humans could fight with strength, mind, and heart. As Elias prepared to rest, he smiled. The future was bright, and he was ready.